Am I the a-hole for making my parents choose between my sister going to jail or replacing my car with their vacation money? Plus many updates. I, female 17, live with my parents. I have an older sister at 29 that they had when they were super young. Like, I think my mom was 19 and my dad was 18. They did not do a great job with her, and she has a lot of problems. She is chronically unemployed and she is a thief. She has 2 kids that are okay. They live with us as well because her boyfriend didn't want them around. I like the kids, but they're spoiled little brats my parents dote on to make up for being crappy parents to their mom. My parents won't let me put a lock on my door because it is their house and they don't want that. No problem. I talk to the kids and explain about what would happen if they came into my room without permission. So we have an understanding. Well, my sister broke up with her boyfriend and she needed a place to stay. I begged my parents not to let her stay with us. They declined. So I begged again for a lock for my door. No dice. I have to go to school, so I can't guard my stuff at all times. When I came home on Friday, I found my car absolutely trashed and the side of it destroyed. My sister had gone into my room, found my spare key and taken my car, then lost control on the ice after a day of eating crap and tossing fast food wrappers everywhere and sideswiped a tree. When I saw my car, I was livid. I told my parents that I expect her to pay to fix it. They said she didn't have any money. So I said that I would call my grandparents as they helped me get the car and insurance. After talking with my grandfather, I came back to talk to my parents. I said that the insurance would cover fixing or replacing my car depending on the damage, but that I would have to file a police report and that my sister would probably be charged for stealing my car. They begged me to tell insurance that she had permission. I said nope. So rather than go through insurance, they are replacing my car. But they're using money that they had set aside to take me and my nieces to Orlando next summer for my graduation. It's fine. I can do without seeing Disney World again. But my parents, sister, and nieces are upset with me and saying that I'm an a-hole for denying my nieces the opportunity to go on a vacation that they never had. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not the a-hole. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Legend. Heck yeah. I hope he learned what not to do by watching her older sister. My other favorite line is, my sister, parents, nieces are all mad at me. Like, why would a sister have the nerve to be mad? She stole the car, and it's her own fault her kids will be disappointed. Opie's parents suck too for enabling this absurdity. Not a-hole, Opie. The children are upset that they did not travel. The parents are upset that they were forced to take responsibility for their Golden Girls' actions. The sister is upset because she's a narcissist. And these types of people will always blame someone else. She will never accept the blame. Not the a-hole and you still need a lock. I have a security cam and I have evidence. It was better than a lock in this case. Add a lock and keep the cam. As a thief, your a-hole sister could still pick the lock and take anything again. Not the a-hole, and your parents are still bad parents to her and to her kids. Letting kids get away with everything and not having to face the consequences is, in my opinion, abusive because then they have no idea how to function in the real world. If your parents had actually learned anything about parenting, they'd make your sister deal with this, or would at least force her to get a job to repay them. If they did that, then the kids wouldn't miss out on Disney. Every single aspect of this has been your parents' fault, and they're still failing. Came here to say this. She's 29 and living with her parents while they raise her kids. Seems like a no-brainer that she should be working, and all money going to her pay for car repairs until it's paid back. Mini update. Hey, I just got home from school. There was a deadbolt on my bedroom door, and my mom gave me a key. She says that she is keeping the other one for emergency. I agreed, as long as it was only for emergencies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend to help pay his biological daughter's tuition? This all started 17 years ago when my friend and his girlfriend, now married, gave birth to my daughter Jasmine. They had a baby they didn't want and protected fun and no abortion and gave it to me. I was friends with this guy for a couple of years, and my wife was infertile and was devastated we couldn't have kids. So, they gave us the baby and life was good until the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit hard for us and my wife lost her job. Thankfully, I got a better job and make money now. enough to support needs and barely scrape by for my daughter's tuition. Now, on the other hand, my friend and his wife are living on cruise ships. He makes a lot of money, so much that he basically lives on cruises and owns a nice condo in Honolulu. They wanted to visit my daughter, and during dinner, fancy restaurant paid by them, offered to pay 20% of my daughter's tuition. My daughter asked why not more, and they told her that she wasn't their responsibility as they gave her to me and my wife. Dinner was very awkward after that, and outside I called my friend an a-hole for not paying my daughter's tuition. I said he makes very good money, and he can afford to pay the tuition. He told me off and left and went back to his fancy condo, might I add. Meanwhile, my daughter was in her room crying, claiming she hates her father. So much so that she blocked all contact with her biological parents and claimed she hates them and never wants to speak to them again. I don't know how I will cover the 50 grand. It's basically half my salary over 2 years. So am I the a-hole? Info. You say gave you their daughter. Was there not a legal adoption? What do the adoption papers say about what they owe you? Was support addressed at all? You seem to simultaneously want this to be a foster child when it benefits you and an adoption when that does. And I'm completely unclear on which is true. If you adopted her, they are not her parents anymore. They are people offering you a gift, one you seem incapable of taking without sabotaging it. Also, why are you waiting till she's 17 to pay for school? You could have saved with pennies on the dollar if you'd started a college fund 17 years ago. And now you're trying to figure out how to scramble. Did you just figure and tell your daughter to expect that rich bio dad would save the day? Because it sure sounds that way. Your daughter had been primed to ask for the full amount, and that audacity doesn't come from nowhere. She wanted to go to some college with her friends. She told us, we applied, she got in, and now we have to pay. And we didn't start a college fund because we thought the parents would pay for it. They told us no, that we had to start it instead, and my wife yelled at them. You and your wife are the parents, you idiot. You're the a-hole. You wanted their child, which means she is your responsibility. 20% was very generous. Good job for being entitled and raising an entitled daughter. The way my eyes bugged at the why not more? I mean, can these people get more entitled? And now you get 0%. Of course, you're the a-hole. This is important from OP's comments. OP also neglected to mention the following. They didn't just offer to pay 20%. They offered to pay 20% of the tuition and to pay off her dorm on campus or an apartment off campus. They also wanted to give her $5,000 to spend on food, which I think they need to send more. Oh, and apparently, they also paid for 75% of his daughter's car. They have been incredibly generous, despite having no financial obligation to him, and he still demanded more. These people gave you the gift of parenthood when you were struggling with infertility and not sure if you would ever have a child. They literally gave you their child and trusted you to be a good parent to her rather than giving her up for adoption elsewhere. And now you're acting like they're a-holes for not bankrolling you as a parent? Either your child is yours or she isn't. If you love her and you consider her to be your daughter, then it is not any other adult's responsibility to financially provide for her education, including the adults whose egg and sperm created her. And that's the grossest part of all of this, that you don't even see that you are literally negating your own parental connection to your daughter for a money grab. You're saying that she's your daughter, except when you want money from your well-off friend and then she's his? It's beyond horrifying. Do what every other parent who does not have a wealthy friend does to manage their child's education. You should have been saving money or take out student loans or apply for scholarships. That man is not our parent. If he were, you wouldn't be. You're the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a babysitting gig after I found out that a kid was diabetic? I, 18 female, babysit for several families in my neighborhood. One of the families that I babysit for recommended me to this woman who is new to the neighborhood. She contacted me on Wednesday asking if I could babysit her 2 kids on Friday evening through Saturday afternoon. Apparently it was her friend's birthday, and they were spending a night in the mountains to celebrate. She asked me to show up a little bit early so that she could go over things with me. Nothing abnormal, especially since I've never met them before. I show up and she starts going over the usual stuff, and then she starts talking about insulin and blood sugars. Apparently, one of the kids, 5-year-old, has type 1 diabetes, and she didn't think that it would be important to let me know beforehand. I have zero experience caring for diabetic children. So I told her that I wasn't comfortable. And she just said, "Oh, don't worry, it's easy," and then tried to show me how to give an insulin injection. I also told her that I am squeamish around needles, and she kind of laughed it off and continued trying to teach me. I finally had to cut her off and basically told her that unfortunately, I wasn't comfortable caring for a diabetic child on such short notice, especially since she'll be hours away, and probably drunk, let's be honest. She started freaking out and begging me to stay, as she didn't want to miss her trip. It seemed like she was about to cry as I was leaving, which made me feel bad. I texted her when I got home and basically said that in the future I would be willing to try, but I'd like to have some kind of trial run, and we could build up to overnight once I actually knew what I was doing. She read my text but didn't respond. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Since you are neither qualified nor comfortable with performing such a task, you made the right choice. Not the a-hole. As a teacher, my wife has 2 kids in her class with diabetes, and she and other staff had to have special trainings, not for just administering insulin, but also to understand blood sugar levels, the effects of food, etc. This is not the kind of stuff you learn in a 5-minute chat before someone walks out the door and entrusts their kid to you. Both my parents had to work with my endo nurse to learn how to give injections, and they still don't like doing it. I would never ask someone I barely know to understand a care that a type 1 needs. Even nurses at some schools I've gone to had to get retrained when I started there, because I was their first type 1 in years and was using equipment that they had never used. Even when I was diagnosed, I was in the hospital for type 1 training for 3 days to learn what I needed to do to not die. Asking someone to learn all that in 5 minutes seems impossible to me. My mother is a nurse, and my dad was still in hospital for 2 days to be trained when he started on injections. Type 1 diabetic here. Totally not the a-hole. Especially because you have zero experience administering insulin or dealing with lows. Minor mistakes on dosage can have serious negative consequences. Same with waiting too long to take insulin. That mom should know better. Good for you for walking away from that risky situation. T1 here. Can you imagine if the kid has low blood sugar in the night? OP might not have even woken up to catch it. And given the kid is getting injections and not on a pump, there's probably no CGM. Seriously, T1 also and horrified at this mother's thoughtlessness. If it was a teenager who could mostly handle their own care, maybe it would be okay to give a 5-minute rundown. But a 5-year-old? Not the a-hole. She blindsided you and was hoping for the best. Even if the kid just needed to take a pill at bedtime, that sort of thing should have been disclosed when you took the gig. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I won't go home for Christmas unless they get me a gift? My 19 male sister Bree 17 is a brat. My parents spoil her rotten. And if she doesn't immediately get her way, she will throw a tantrum, and my parents will always give in to whatever she asks for. I wouldn't say she got in the way of me or our brother, 23, getting anything, but it was always really obvious who got more. My parents emailed me asking if I would be okay with doing a low-stress Christmas this year, as in nobody would get gifts for anybody else. We would just spend time together. I was fine with this, since I don't want anything anyway and it would make things less stressful like they said. So I called them to let them know, and they immediately told me what to get Bree. I was confused and said, I thought we weren't doing gifts this year. My mom said, yeah, but Bree's different. You know how she'll get if she doesn't get something. Besides, she's still a baby. This made me mad. Not because I wanted gifts, but because it felt like Bree was getting to be the favorite again. I hung up and looked on the family Amazon account, and they have already gotten her a brand new tablet, a bunch of accessories for it, a name brand giant makeup case, and loads of smaller things. I called them back and told them that I won't come home for Christmas unless I get a gift. It doesn't have to even be a fraction of what they spent on Bree. It could be literally the smallest thing. I just want one gift. They told me I'm being childish and they thought they raised me better. I told them that was the deal and hung up. I told my housemates that I might be staying here over the break, and when I explained why, they said I'm being immature and that my parents don't owe me anything because I'm an adult now. I told them the gift is the point, is that Bree is obviously being treated differently from me. But they said it's because she still lives with them and is still a kid, and that I should grow up and stop being entitled. I still think I'm justified, but now I wonder if I'm being an a-hole? Not the a-hole. The rules were no one gets a present. But now the golden child has to have a bunch of gifts, including gifts from everyone so she doesn't get upset. Scratch that. For your own mental health and well-being, it's time to consider low to no contact with them. Don't keep setting yourself up to get hurt because your parents obviously favor your sister. Your parents obviously favor your sister. You're a whole 19. This "you're an adult" argument is ridiculous. She always been favored even before you were 19. Your parents have made it clear they favor one child, and that child exploits it to the fullest extent. There are people out there who may not be blood related to you, but will be better family than these people. Find them. Go live your life. Don't keep running back to people who make you feel less than because family. They're not bad people. They love me and I love them. They went to my cross-country games and all that. They weren't neglectful. They just have this huge blind spot when it comes to my sister, and I don't want that one thing to keep making me feel bad. I didn't say they were bad people. Their actions make you feel bad and less than your sister. I'm sure they love you, but she's the golden child hands down. That's always going to be the case, unfortunately. You can continue to try to discuss it with them, but you know how that's going to go. If you can afford it, I would suggest getting therapy to help you out here. A therapist would be able to help you come up with boundaries and better ways to handle this than me or anyone else here. Not stay whole. Buy your sister a book on recovering from golden child syndrome and have it delivered to the house during Christmas dinner. Your first Christmas on your own is hard, but lean into it. Fuzzy PJs all day, Die Hard, candy for breakfast and bacon for dinner were how I coped when I was your age. And now my kid and I do those things together. Man, that sounds perfect. I suddenly feel a lot less bad. Lol. It really is wonderful. Do all the things you'd get grief for doing on Christmas because they make you happy. I strongly suggest a whimsical onesie, and I hope you have a really merry, comfy slacker Christmas.